Okay, and next question is, do we have Jagat Shiva Prabhu here for translating? Hare Krishna. If someone can just inform me about the translation arrangement.
Guru Maharaj, I still don't have Jagat Shiva Prabhu here. So I'm waiting if he shows up, then I will immediately add him as an interpreter.
Thank you. You want to call him again? Ask him what's happening. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Well, meanwhile, while we're waiting for translation, Hare Krishna. So, welcome everyone who are here with us on this auspicious day of Janmasthami. I am speaking from New Santipur farm community in the southwest of Poland. And we're specifically broadcasting, or as I understand, meant to be broadcasting for the Warsaw Temple, but we are now still looking for our translator so that we can translate into Polish language. Meanwhile, I keep saying meanwhile. Jak się mówi po polsku? Meanwhile. Międzyczasy. Międzyczasy. Tymczasy. It's one syllable shorter, yes. Anyway, why not? Let's just begin with some verses. So welcome to everyone who are online, all the way to South America and Spain and Serbia and Finland. Yeah. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitanscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swamin iti namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. So it's still kind of a mystery what's happening in Warsaw, Warsaw, but I'm inclined to just go ahead. And if they come, they come. If they don't, they don't. If they translate, good. If they don't translate, Hare Krishna. But then we don't have a translator for some of you here, and that's a problem. Oh. Technology. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Here at New Santipur, we had Janmasthami festival yesterday. It was very nice. Quite a good number of devotees. Any count of how many were here?
I think about 150. On Saturday was more.
Oh.
There was more people. Between 150 to 200.
Oh, 150 to 200 people were here on Saturday and maybe 150 yesterday. That's quite something for New Shantipur. So that's nice. I like that system of having the festival one day before the actual day, because then you can celebrate and you can also take prasadam instead of having festival and fasting at the same time. So we've had a quite quiet Janmasthami here, which has been nice. Yeah, it's an interesting. It's perhaps no coincidence that immediately following Janmasthami day is Srila Prabhupada's Vyasa Puja day. And we were just hearing yesterday, one devotee was saying, couldn't Srila Prabhupada have appeared one day later so that we would have one day in between to recover? But no, he arranged it so that we would have a marathon. Do we have any idea, Madai, what's happening in Warsaw? Mm-hmm. They were logged in. Huh? Okay. It's okay. Okay. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare.
Okay, so I understand we have our system set up now. It can okay, now I just need to know, this is going to be simultaneous translation? Simultaneous. Okay. Good. So I will just start. We are anticipating the appearance of Lord Krishna, and at the same time, we know that Krishna is already with us. Here we have been discussing about the hearing from Krishna and why we should want to hear from Krishna. base. Hare Krishna. Does everyone over here follow English? Are we, because I don't know what's happening. You're okay with English? Angielski, okay. Yeah, we have different audiences. In the 10th canto of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, we hear about Krishna, and we hear Krishna's, we hear about Krishna's appearance and his activities, his janma and his karma, with the understanding that his janma and his karma are divya. They are not ordinary and they are not extraordinary. They are divya, they are transcendental. In Bhagavad Gita, we hear from Krishna. And one thing that we hear from Krishna very prominent aspect of Bhagavad Gita that we hear from Krishna is I have to focus my mind a little. We have translation here and, oh, are we okay now? Okay. An important thing that we hear from Krishna in Bhagavad Gita is about himself. We hear how Krishna appears again and again. We hear that he appears repeatedly. And we hear from him why he appears. We hear his purpose in appearing. He appears, he comes to this world to reset the practice of spiritual life. There is this tendency, something like entropy. Entropy means it's the way material energy works. It tends to run down. And similarly, the practice of spiritual life tends to run down. Take all of these and spread them around so that we don't have to do this again in case anyone else comes. Yeah. Just put them somewhere. Just put them on the floor. Put them on the floor. Very good. And Krishna in Bhagavad Gita makes some promises. And this is where I wanted to start. I wanted to start with a verse spoken not by Krishna, but by the demigods, the devas, to Krishna before Krishna's appearance. Krishna is being anticipated. He is coming very soon. He's going to appear in the place where he is, where Devaki and Vasudeva have been kept for so many years. And the demigods know who is coming. They know Krishna is coming. Kamsa is also knowing who's coming. He's worried. He's worried. He's frightened. The demigods are happy. Two different emotions. So the demigods say their first prayer, they say, satya-vrataṁ, satya-vratam, satya-param, tri-satyam, satyasya, yonim, nihitaṁ cha, satye. Satyasya satyam, ṛta-satya-netram, satyātmakam tvāṁ, śrāṇaṁ prapannāḥ. It's a kind of long translation. The demigods prayed, "O Lord, you never deviate from your vow, which is always perfect, because whatever you decide is perfectly correct and cannot be stopped by anyone." Did we lose the connection? For translation, we lost the connection. Huh. Being present in the three phases of cosmic manifestation, creation, maintenance, and annihilation, you, Krishna, are the supreme truth. Indeed, unless one is completely truthful, one cannot achieve your favor. Which therefore cannot be achieved by hypocrites. You are the active principle, the real truth in all the ingredients of creation. And therefore you are known as antaryami, the inner force. You are equal to everyone, and your instructions apply for everyone for all time. You are the beginning of all truth. Therefore, offering our obeisances, we surrender unto you. Kindly give us protection. That's just the first verse of several prayers given by the Devas, offered to Lord Krishna in anticipation of his appearance. And the first phrase of this verse, satya-vratam, I've always found interesting. In Srila Prabhupada's translation, he says, "O Lord, you never deviate from your vow." And in his purport, something that Srila Prabhupada rarely did, but in this purport, he added a footnote. And the footnote was to this point. He wants to explain what is the vow. He says the vow is yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham srijami. I appear whenever there is dharma glani, a shrinking, we can say, of dharma. At that time I appear. So that's one explanation of what is the vow. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives us another reference. What is Krishna's vow? He says satya-vratam means satya-vratam yasyatam, you whose vow is true. Because of the statement, sakrit eva prapanno yas tavasmiti cha yachate, abhayam sarvada tasmai dadam yetad-vratam mama. I, Krishna is speaking here as Lord Rama in the Ramayana, I bestow constant fearlessness to anyone who even just once, sakrit eva, surrenders and beseeches me, yachate, by saying, tava asmi, I am yours. And don't worry, you don't have to say it in Sanskrit. Krishna understands Polish, Serbian, even English, Portuguese, Spanish. So I am yours. This is my pledge. Ṛta-satya-vratam mama. The word vrata, it's interesting because we usually think of vrata as, vrata is usually translated as vow. And we usually think of a vow as some sort of an austerity which human beings do in order to approach the Lord. We make a vow, I am going to fast today for Krishna Janmasthami. No? So that's usually how we understand the word vrata, but here, satya-vrata, the Lord is satyam-vratam yasyatam, you whose vow is true. And the Lord's vow, we understand, well, he makes one vow, which is, I will always appear. When there is a reduction, a disappearance of dharma. And another vow, which we hear from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, is, I will always protect my devotee. Now, we could say these go together, because Krishna says in the next verse in the Bhagavad Gita, paritranaya sadhunam. Paritrana, trana means to cross. We have the word avatara, tarana and trana, the same, basically crossing. And ava means down, crossing down, or an avatara is one who crosses down. But Krishna says paritranaya, for the purpose of bringing out. Pari means around or thoroughly. For bringing, for delivering, Prabhupada translates, for delivering the devotees. So delivering means protecting. And it's, so we can say it's all the same vow that Krishna makes. And by this vow, what can we appreciate? We can appreciate that the Lord feels a responsibility. He feels a responsibility to his devotees. And it doesn't take very much for the Lord to feel that responsibility, because he says, sakrit eva, prapannosmi tavasmi iti. One simply has to say once, I surrender to you. I didn't have time to search for this, but as I remember, he's making this statement in connection with Vibhishana. Vibhishana is, as we know, approaching Lord Rama after he sees that his brother Ravana is hopeless. He's not going to give up his position, his determination to defy the Lord. So then Vibhishana says, okay, I'm out of here. And he goes to approach, to surrender to Lord Ram. And there's some doubt by others who are with Ram. Who is this? Maybe he's a spy. Maybe it's a conspiracy. But Rama says, he takes Vibhishana at face value. He accepts that he's saying, I surrender to you. He accepts that. And then he makes this promise that I will protect one who does so. So in Bhagavad Gita, we were discussing about various ways Krishna speaks about himself. We came eventually to the 9th chapter, and we encountered another promise of the Lord, Kshipraṁ bhavati dharmatma, shashvat, Kshipraṁ bhavati dharmatma. On Janmasthami, one can never remember verses. Shashvat shantim nigacchati konteya pratijani name bhakta pranashati. Pratijanihi, he's saying, Konteya, O Krishna, O Arjuna, you declare, you quote me, you make the promise on my behalf that my devotee never perishes. So this is, according to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the core, the center, the centerpiece of the 6 principles of surrender. Anukulyasya sankalpa, pratikulyasya varjanam, rakshishyati, vishvasa, bhoktritve varanam tata, atmanikshepa karpanye, shatvidha sharanagati. Rakshishyati iti, the vishvasa, the conviction, the Lord will protect me. So if one has that conviction, then that is the core of the process of surrender. And the process of surrender, which has 6 elements, if one can simply say, I surrender, then the Lord is saying, I make this promise. There's another translation of this verse, satya-vratam, satya-param. It's shorter than Srila Prabhupada's, but I think it's also interesting for us. So I want to read this as well. It's the same verse. This is verse 26 of chapter 2 of Canto 10. We take shelter of you. Your pledge is true. Here, the translator is using the word pledge instead of vow. Your pledge is true, and then comes a colon indicating the rest is an expansion of this pledge. Honesty is most important to you. You may remember Srila Prabhupada in his translation said that one who is a hypocrite cannot approach the Lord. One must be completely truthful. So more literally, perhaps, honesty is most important to you. You are the truth of the three Vedas. You are the cause of the five elements. And you abide in the real. You are absolutely real. Not just partially real, but absolutely real. You are absolutely real compared to what is materially real. You are the guide for speaking truthfully and pleasantly, as well as for perceiving Paramatma. Your body is real. So here the word real is used. Prabhupada uses the word truth. You are the absolute truth. And of course, in the very, very beginning of the Bhagavatam, we understand the first verse is a meditation on the absolute truth in a somewhat abstract sort of way. Janmasthami ṛta-satya-netraṁ satya-param dhīmahi. Let us meditate on the supreme truth. Or we can say, because the word sat means true or truth, and it also means what is real. So the bigger point we can say is, and it's hinted here when it says, you are absolutely real compared to what is materially real. So when we speak about Krishna's appearance, we're speaking about the appearance finally of what is actually real, true and real. And that true and real, the absolute reality appearing in the world of what is called comparatively material real is a wonderful thing. Krishna is teaching in the Bhagavad Gita about himself, and in this respect we can say his the broad principle is sambandha. He's teaching us about himself and ourselves in relation to him. And he's also speaking about abhideya, the process for how to approach him. And he also speaks about the goal, the prayojana. All of this is expanded and we can say fully made clear when Krishna himself appears and performs his pastimes. In Bhagavad Gita, we can say it's in a very compact form, the Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana in the Chatur Shloki, the 4 verses of the 10th chapter, which tell us that everything is coming from Krishna. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate. And he tells us what happens when someone understands that. What does one do when one understands that Krishna is the source of everything? Iti matva bhajantema. Buddha bhava samanvita. One will worship him with great devotion. Endowed, samanvita, with great devotion. And how does that worship look? Satatam, not satatam, that's another verse. Matchitta matgata prana, bodhayanta parasparam, katayantas chamam nityam, tushanticha ramanticha. Matchitta matgata prana, their very lives, their prana is dedicated, is gone, literally gone to the Lord. Their chitta, their consciousness has gone to the Lord. Their chitta and their prana, everything, it's surrendered. But it's not just an individual thing. It's not just that I will sit in a corner with my chitta and my prana dedicated to Krishna. Rather, bodhayanta parasparam. There's going to be some mutual discussion, mutual enlivenment. Bodhayantaha, literally enlivening others. Mutually, so one enlivens another and the other enlivens the first. There's an exchange. How do they do it? Katayanta, they get each other to speak about the Lord. Katayantas chamang nitya tushyanti, and what is the result? What is the prayojana? Tushyanti cha ramanti cha. They will be satisfied, they will be joyful. Krishna says in the beginning of the 9th chapter of the Gita, Raja Vidya, Raja Guhyam, Pavitram idam uttaman pratyakshavagaman dharmyam, susukam kartum avyayam. This process, this confidential knowledge is something that's practiced, and when it's practiced, it brings joy. Susukam kartum, and it's perpetual. And then Krishna tells Arjuna what is the result of this constant engagement in the Lord's service. Satatam, tesham satata-yuktanam, tesham satata-yuktanam, bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayanti te. Dadami, Krishna is reciprocating. I give, he says, I give you. What does he give? Buddhi yoga. He gives the yoga of the buddhi, which is the yoga of intelligence. It's also the yoga of reason. Bhakti yoga, Prabhupada translates Buddhi yoga as Bhakti yoga, following Baladev Vidyabhushana. But the word buddhi can mean reason. It can mean, so it's about using our reason in service. But where to get that reason, Krishna says, I give it to you. But when does he give it? He says, I give it when you engage, become absorbed constantly in service, in my glorification. Katayantas chamam nityam. And then comes the grand finale of the 4 verses. when Krishna says, Tesham eva anukampartam aham ajnanajam tamaha. Nashayam yatma bhavasto jnanadipena bhasvata. And then Krishna says, out of compassion, eva anukampartam, out of trembling, literally. Kampa means to tremble. Krishna is trembling with compassion. Krishna is so eager. He is so concerned. He feels so responsible that he is doing everything necessary for our sake, to save us, to bring us out from this conditioned world. Conditioned world, which is described by the Devas in their next in the next prayer. Ekayano sao dvipalas trimulas chaturasa panchavida śadatma sapta tvagashtavidavo navaksho dashat-chadi dvikago hi adivriksha. And I don't have, oh, here it is. Translation of Srila Prabhupada. Oh, Prabhupada gave a very long purport to the previous verse. Okay, here it is. The body, that is the total body, and the individual body are of the same composition. The body may figuratively be called the original tree. From this tree, which fully depends on the ground of material nature, come two kinds of fruit. So what's happening in this verse is it's a kind of playing with numbers. It starts with 1, and then there's 2, and then there's 3, and then there's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, up through 10 numbers of different substances, we can say. All of it describing the tree of this world and the body, because the body and the world are the same composition. Okay, from this tree, which fully depends on the ground of material nature, come two kinds of fruit: the enjoyment of happiness and the suffering of distress. Okay, we have the number 2 now. The cause of the tree forming its 3 roots, there's 3 roots going down, is association with the 3 modes of material nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. The fruits of bodily happiness have 4 tastes: dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. So there's the tree is a tree, so it has fruits, and the fruits have 4 different tastes. And these are experienced, these 4 tastes are experienced by 5 senses for acquiring knowledge. And where does this happen? In the midst of 6 circumstances. What are these circumstances? Lamentation, illusion, old age, death, hunger, and thirst. The 7 layers of bark covering the tree, and these are the different layers of the body, are skin, blood, muscle, fat, bone, marrow, and semen. And there are 8 branches of the tree, 5 gross and 3 subtle elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, false ego. The tree of the body has 9 hollows, 9 gates: the eyes, the ears, the nostrils, the mouth, the rectum, and the genitals, and 10 leaves, the 10 airs passing through the body, the pranas. In this tree of the body, there are 2 birds. One is the individual soul, and the other is the super soul. So that's the material condition, and the point is that the Lord appears to bring us out of the material condition. He makes it possible for us to do this with his teachings and with his pastimes. And his pastimes in particular give us a vision of the prayojana, the goal. We can say Bhagavad Gita in particular is focused on the process and, well, let's say sambandha, the relationships, the who is who and what is what, the 5 principles, Ishvara, Jiva, Kala, Prakriti, and Karma. What is what in relation to the Lord? Who is the Lord, and so on. And the process, Krishna is declaring repeatedly in the Bhagavad Gita, the process of surrender. And in the end, he is saying, don't worry about your own preconceptions of what is right, what is wrong. The thing you need to do is to surrender to me, and I will protect you. And then in Krishna's lifetime, in the course of his life, we can say, we get demonstration of what is the goal. What does it mean to speak of love of God? What is that like? That we learn especially from Krishna's associates. We get a hint of that in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says to Arjuna, you are my friend and my devotee. And he reveals something of that relationship. But we get something so much more in the descriptions of Krishna in Vrindavan, Krishna with his friends, Krishna with his beloveds, whose lives are devastated when Krishna seems to leave Vrindavan to go to Mathura, who cannot live without him. I say seems to leave because we understand Krishna never really leaves Vrindavan. But he seems to leave. And why does he seem to leave? To sharpen the feelings of the residents of Vrindavan in feelings of his absence, the feeling of separation. And Krishna teaches one particular devotee of his named Uddhava, a very close friend with whom he is interacting, especially in Mathura and then eventually in Dwarka. He sends Uddhava to Vrindavan with a message. He has more than one message. He has a message for Nanda and Yashoda, and he also has a message for the gopis. He doesn't have a message for the gopas, because the gopas, the cowherd boys, are not worried about whether Krishna will return or not. They understand. Krishna said he'll come back. He'll come back. Don't worry about it. But the gopis are extremely worried, extreme anxiety. Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Mai are extremely distraught, distressed. So Uddhava has messages for them, and he comes with these messages, but when he conveys the messages, or when he tries to convey the messages, he finds that he can't really get across to them what he thinks he should, because what's really happening is that they are teaching him, Uddhava, a lesson. And actually, Krishna has sent him for that lesson. And what is the lesson? Here is where you find pure, unadulterated devotion, pure love. When you witness, when you see this love, you'll understand what is Krishna Bhakti. And so this is also for us to learn through Uddhava, especially. Uddhava, it would have been many years later, Uddhava meets Vidura, and he has just before this been with Krishna. Krishna has taught Uddhava a kind of expanded Bhagavad Gita, the Uddhava Gita in the 11th canto. And he has made a final departure. They have made a final departure. Krishna has made it clear that he is now leaving. He is going back to his abode. And Uddhava is brokenhearted. And in that state, he meets Vidura. And in that state, he shares with Vidura his feeling for Krishna as he describes Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. So we get all of this through Uddhava, and then, of course, through our acharyas who are conveying the life of Krishna and of his devotees to us. And we are learning from the acharyas what it means to love Krishna. And we are learning from the sangha, the association of devotees, what it means to love Krishna. And when we see what is love of Krishna, then we become illuminated in the process how to serve Krishna, how to take our mundane, quotidian lives, our daily lives, and transform them, to transform through our mundane senses, transforming our senses through engaging in Krishna's service. We talked about this yesterday. Ata Shri Krishna Namadi na bhavet grahyam indriyahi sevan mukehi jihvado swayameva spuratyada. First it says that we cannot connect with Krishna through the senses. And then the second half of the verse says, you can connect through the senses to the Lord, beginning with the tongue and with the prerequisite that we turn ourselves to Krishna, that we direct ourselves, seva unmukhe, with the purpose of serving the Lord. And so our spiritual life really begins with the practice of chanting the holy name, taking prasadam. We talked about that yesterday also. And calling to Krishna for his help. How has it been possible for us to do this, particularly by the appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who completes, in a sense, we can say, Krishna's promise. Krishna makes this satya-vrataṁ, this satya-vratam, this true vow, this vow of the vow to which he is true, the vow that he keeps. He makes this promise, and yet there is a problem for him that he, Krishna, feels some incompleteness because he cannot understand, he cannot realize, he cannot feel what is that devotion which is present in the person Srimati Radharani. So in order to experience that, he has to come again. And by coming again, he, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, more graphically than any other possible way we could imagine, demonstrates what is the prayojana of bhakti, what is the perfection of bhakti. And it's not that he just says, or he demonstrates it, but he shows us the way how we can pursue it. So all of this we are celebrating in the appearance of Lord Krishna today at midnight. It's already midnight in India. Yeah, so we can already party. Yeah. Hare Krishna. So I believe I will stop here. I don't know if there is time for any discussion or if the program in Warsaw is continuing on. I don't know if they want to say something in Warsaw or what. Okay, so then what does that mean? Okay, so that means we have about 12 minutes. Well, maybe I can ask our local devotees if anyone has a comment you'd like to say, something to share, something about your experience of Janmasthami festival this time or in previous years. Maybe you have some nice memory of Janmasthami or your first Janmasthami. Srila Prabhupada with the devotees in New York celebrated Janmasthami in 1966. And they simply chanted all day till midnight. They read they wouldn't have had Krishna book yet. I don't think, no, they wouldn't have had Krishna book yet. Anyway, they chanted, and for Srila Prabhupada, it was no problem to fast. The devotees were struggling. Okay, we have let's see, a question or a comment from Avadutta Rai. Canto 11, chapter 30, verse 7. Krishna speaks to the Yadavas about the need to worship the demigods by bathing their images, anointing them with sandalwood pulp, etc. Question, what was the reason to worship the devas? This doesn't seem to be a good example after speaking Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is very accommodating. He is accommodating everyone's inclination and tendency for worship. And he recognizes that there will be those who feel the need to worship the devas. Even the Yadavas, even his own clan. And so he's not, Krishna is not envious. Krishna is free from envy. We get a much different picture of God in the Hebrew Bible, so-called Old Testament for the Christians, where the commandment is, thou shalt worship no other gods before me, for I am a jealous God. And Krishna says, I'm not jealous. Says, you want to worship other gods, go ahead. You can worship them and you can go to them wherever you like, you can go. But if you worship me, you will come to me. And what does that mean? That means you'll come beyond this world, you'll come to the spiritual world. Okay, he's also asking the 6 principles of surrender. One is being the guardian, and the other being protector. Okay, so the first two, anukulyasya sankalpa, pratikulyasya varjanam. These are very different from each other. One is accepting what's favorable for service, and one is rejecting what is not favorable. And then seeing the Lord as protector and seeing the Lord as rakshish, as raksha, as protector, and bhoktritva, seeing the Lord as the maintainer, the supporter. Yeah, we can say that they are very close, very similar, but I would say that the sense of protection is coming in relation to a sense of danger. And the notion of support is recognizing my everyday support, my life support, if you like, my way of life. Everything is under or is resting on Yeah, put it that way. My life support, it's resting on Krishna. And if there's some danger, something, and of course, ultimately, we are surrounded by danger, especially in the last year and a half. We've been everywhere so much in anxiety because of an invisible but very deadly danger, for many people, deadly, this virus situation. So Krishna says, I protect you. But how does he protect? It doesn't mean necessarily that he's protecting the body. Body is going to go sooner or later. Krishna makes no promise about protecting this body. He may protect, he can protect when he wishes, but he may also say, well, maybe it's time now for you to move on. So what is that? What is it that he's protecting? He's in particular, he's protecting our devotion. He's protecting our he's protecting the heart. He's protecting our Krishna consciousness. Whatever we have that we are bringing to Krishna, Krishna is holding, he is cherishing that. He is holding it and not letting it go. Yeah, that's how I would explain that. Okay, that's all that we have of questions or comments here. Yes.
Wobec tego modlitwy o ochronę Kryszny w naszych różnych materialnych działaniach są po prostu modlitwy o materialne rzeczy.
So are our prayers to be protected are prayers for the material body, protection of material body?
O ochronę naszych materialnych działaniach.
So to pray for be protected in our material activities.
Czy są modlitwami w kategorii materialne rzeczy?
Are these prayers considered as praying for material things? The protection of that?
Okay, the question is whether our prayers for, I have to, as I understand it, to be able to do our material, our activities in this world, whether that's material, it depends on our bigger vision. Is it, and our motivation, is our motivation to serve the Lord, or is our motivation for ourselves only? If the motivation is to serve Krishna, then the prayer is essentially, my Lord, please give me opportunity to serve you. And if you like, this is how I find it, how I can best serve you. This is what I can do well, whether it's gardening or whatever it may be. But the core prayer is, please engage me in your service. Maybe circumstances will change. I can't serve you as I'm accustomed to serve you for whatever reason, but let me have another service. Let me, one way or another, always be engaged in service. Draupadi's prayer, which Oh, when the attempt to disrobe her was going on. Yeah, well, Draupadi's prayer is, first of all, it's quite understandable in that circumstance. She did not want to be put into, she did not naturally want to be shamed as they were trying to shame her, right? And why she would not want to be shamed, we can say, in connection with the Lord, she wants to be preserving her dignity as a servant of the Lord. And so we can see it in that way. It's still service for the Lord, that her dignity is preserved, and therefore she's calling for his help. I would see it that way. Mm-hmm.
I was wondering about the Kamsa. Kamsa wanted to kill Devaki. Then he promised to Vasudeva that he will not kill. So I was wondering why he kept them together in the same cell. He could separate them.
Yes. Yes, it's an interesting question. I've thought of this myself. Devotees think of it occasionally. Why didn't he just keep them separate? The question for those online, why didn't Kamsa keep Devaki and Vasudeva separate if he didn't want them to have children? I've never read any explanation of this. Maybe we can only assume that Kamsa was not very intelligent. He maybe assumed, well, they're married, so they have to be together. And they have to have children. So I'll just go ahead and kill one after another of the children. Somehow, for him, there was no option of keeping them separate. Well, I think we have to end now. I want to thank everyone and wish you all a wonderful remainder of Janmasthami, or for some of you, maybe it's already come to the end of, maybe, I don't know, somebody further east from here. But anyway, I wish you all the best for celebrating the appearance of Lord Krishna. And for tomorrow, for celebrating Srila Prabhupada's Vyasa Puja, Srila Prabhupada's appearance. And for this coming entire year until next Janmasthami, we can look forward to next year's Janmasthami. We're living from one Janmasthami to the next. Some devotees live from one Sunday feast to the next. Please. Gaur Purnima to Gaur Purnima. Yeah. Okay, so we'll end there. Thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavarinda ki jai. Gaur Premanande Hari. Hare Krishna.
Feliz Janmasthami, Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.